Welcome to the Prime Real Estate Network channel on YouTube. I'm your host, Mr. Prime Real Estate, Rick Davis.
And I'm your host, the Texas Real Estate King, Larry W. Brooks.
Every week, the King and I will provide you exclusive access to our network of lenders, investors, and real estate professionals from both the commercial and residential real estate sectors.
Now, are you millionaire minded? Or maybe you're a millionaire in the making. Make sure that you subscribe so you can get connected to the network. And always remember, the Prime Real Estate Network, where millionaires are in the making.
Create wealth for generations. Good day. Welcome to the Prime Real Estate Network podcast. I'm your host, Rick Davis. If you don't follow me on social media, I invite you to do so at Prime Real Estate Rick. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in residential or commercial real estate anywhere in the great state of Texas, but especially here in the lovely city of Houston, you can reach me directly on Instagram at Prime Real Estate Rick. I want to thank everyone in the audience for tuning in, and it's an honor and a pleasure to be your host this week, just like I am every week here on the Prime Real Estate Network. First thing, I want to urge everyone, get involved in today's show. If today is the first opportunity you've had to check out the Prime Real Estate Network, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Share it with everyone because today's episode is entrepreneurship motivation. This is for all of those business owners, entrepreneurs, those in the business space that check us out on a regular basis. Today's episode is for you. Today, we're going to speak to one of the leaders and one of the leading service providers here in Houston. Her business is just so well founded. It serves just a really great need. And I'm really excited to introduce this week's guest and have her introduce her company and what it is that they do to our audience. But first, I want to take some time here, man, to thank the Texas Real Estate King, Mr. Larry W. Brooks, man. He is our co-host. He's not only the co-founder of this show, but he is also the co-founder of Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm. He is live in the building with us this week. We may very well hear from the Texas Real Estate King later on in the show, but we want to make sure we give him a great, huge shout out because some of the things that he does behind the scenes, especially when it comes to networking and allowing us to have the commitments to some of the great and fine professionals and entrepreneurs that we have here on the show, is something that we appreciate a lot. Want to give a big, huge shout out to our super producer, Jay Joseph. She does an outstanding job of bringing the Prime Real Estate Network podcast to you all every week. And I want to make sure I give her a big, huge shout out. But like I mentioned before, today's episode is entitled The Surprising Benefits of Vitamin Therapy and How It Can Positively Affect Your Health. I would like to introduce this week's guest. She is not only a professional registered nurse here in the area, she is also the owner and founder of VitaFuse Houston. I want to thank her so much for sitting in with us on the Prime Real Estate Network podcast. And I'd like to introduce this week's guest, Miss Marie Williams.
Hello, how are you? Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored.
I want to thank you so much for carving some time out your schedule, because when Larry and I were discussing having you on the show and interviewing you and talking to you about VitaFuse Houston, I was just so ecstatic to be able to actually meet the person who founded that company. Your company and what you do over at VitaFuse Houston is something that I had been introduced to sort of via social media, via Facebook, some things I saw on Instagram. So I was so excited to have an opportunity to sit down with you as the brains behind the machine. So first thing, Ms. Williams, could you just introduce VitaFuse Houston to our audience and speak a little bit about what you all do over at VitaFuse?
Great. Yes, I will. And again, I want to say thank you again for having me as your guest. I am Marie, and I am the founder of VitaFuse, which is a mobile IV vitamin and hydration therapy concierge service business, meaning I go wherever you go. And I basically provide drips, injections, that are used for preventive health or just current health orders the doctor may have. Just so many various, ways and reasons people want IV hydration and vitamin therapy. So I felt that it was a need, everybody wants to do it. And it's probably one of the best things that's out there right now. So I just said, why not?
Now, the thing about it is of course, the mobile aspect of your business is what makes your service so unique and valuable. But could you just speak to our audience about the everyday benefits of vitamin therapy and why so many people reach out to you for vitamin therapy, and what are some of the benefits that they enjoy?
Great. The benefits of IV vitamin therapy can be number one in preventive health, preventing certain diseases, certain elements that we can get a hold of, the flu, that hydration. If we don't have enough hydration, sometimes not everybody can even take oral vitamins. So that's
Mm.
also that's an alternative to oral vitamins. What a lot of people also don't know is that oral vitamins are 30% absorbable, and they have to transfer and go through your gastric system in order to be able to get through your system. Whereas IV vitamin therapy is 100% absorbable and it lasts up to 2 weeks in your body. Why not? So, those are the benefits, the energy that it gives you, the look, the glow in your skin. And those are a lot of the benefits that people seek in the IV vitamin hydration therapy. So, yes.
The great thing about having the opportunity to sit down with you is that so many members of our audience reside in and around Harris County and the city of Houston. And with the climate here in Houston, we're going into spring as we approach the summer. The humidity is going to start to rise, the temperatures are going to start to rise, and there's going to be a lot more need for those that enjoy outdoor activities to need hydration therapy on site. So for those event organizers, those event planners, what type of events reach out to you to have you and your mobile equipment on site during their outdoor activities?
Well, it's a lot of outdoor activities such as sports, clearly. There are also gym owners who have outdoor activities with their gyms,
Um,
summer camps. Oh my goodness, cheerleading teams. It's just, and being a registered nurse, I'm also on site for first aid. If there's an emergency,
ah,
you already got a nurse on site,
that's perfect.
So it's a benefit to that. Oh my goodness. So that's what and in Houston, a lot of people are extremely dehydrated because the kids are
Oh,
out for the summer. They're doing summer practices. Kids are excited to be out of school, so they're moving around a lot and they're sweating. So we get a lot of really dehydrated teenagers. So I could say honestly, it's probably the bulk of a lot of my business, really.
how how often have you been the on-site professional in a moderate to severe emergency situation due to cramping, the results of dehydration? And how often do you hear stories about people wishing that they would have had someone like you on site when a member of their family or a loved one had a medical emergency in the past?
It happens so often. It happens at park events. I can just be with my family and be out somewhere, and there's like this soccer team playing. And honestly, I've witnessed kids passing out, and you're like, whoa. And it always goes back to they were dehydrated.
Right.
So it's various, it's everywhere. And we have to be a little bit diligent about that and make sure, if you're not getting IV hydration therapy, make sure you're drinking water, because that's one of the most important things that I think we can't stress enough is hydration. Hydration can prevent so many, heart issues and seizures and just what hypotension. All of those things happen from heat exhaustion. So we really want to make sure that, hey, get with us. If you can't drink a lot of water to meet your needs, that's what IV hydration's for. So
Right. One of the great things about having you sit in with me this week, and I want to thank you so much for your time, is that there are members of our audience that are registered nurses as well
mhm,
as teachers, other type of professionals that we've helped assist as far as residential home searches, etc. But the cool
mhm.
thing about having you on is that you are an entrepreneur as well as having a registered nursing license where you're able to wear those two hats. So, for those in our audience that are RNs just like you who have that itch for entrepreneurship, that are motivated, that wants to do more, that want to give back to the community in a different way, could you just talk to what was your motivation behind founding your company, and what was the thought process that led you to make that decision?
So, what I would say, find your strength. whatever it is, find out what you're good at. If you're good at talking to people, also find out how can you merge your profession into what you're good at. I knew that I loved people. I love talking to people. I love teaching people. So I was like, okay, well, how can I build a business on top of that? And then I was like, okay, well, I'm good at sticking people and I love health. And I just honestly, I had to sit back and just really put a list together and say all of what I'm good at and just find out what I know I can wake up loving to do every single day. My motivation for doing this business was COVID, believe it or not.
Mm.
Yeah, I had actually was not very familiar with IV hydration therapy. And at the time I was working as a pediatric nurse. Nurses started calling into work. COVID came. We didn't know what to do. I reached
Wow.
out to some physician friends of mine, like, hey, what can I do? There's not a vaccine yet. What do we do? He said IV vitamin therapy. I was like, really? I was
Mm.
like, they do that? And so like everybody else, I thought it was something only rich people get or celebrities. Reached out, and honestly, I did it for a whole year and did not catch COVID. I mean,
Oh,
literally, it
wow.
was it was the most amazing thing. So building on top of that was what made me want to open up a business and say, how can I do this? How can I go out and provide this service to my community and to people who really need this? And so I pondered on it for honestly probably about 2 years. I didn't know what
Right.
I wanted to do, but I didn't want to invest my time and my money into something that was going to be a flop. I said, if I got to go in, I got to go in hard and 100%. Right.
Right.
So I sat on it and then I sat and I talked to people about it. I got so much support from the
Wow.
healthcare community. They were like, yes, we need that. And I'm like, yes.
Oh,
So I
wow.
did what what I was able to do and I pushed forward and it was a journey, but now I'm here and I'm able to provide these great services to Houston and I'm glad.
Okay. What previous business background or management background did you have? Or did you find that the transferable skills from what you did as a nurse helped you in business building?
That is correct. It's funny you say that because prior to becoming an RN, I was a medical assistant.
Okay.
So I was opening up clinics for a lot of doctors, starting it from scratch. Actually had the opportunity to open up one of the first medical psychiatric units at St. Joseph's Hospital,
Oh, wow.
built it from scratch. So I used all of those skills into building my business, organization, the marketing, who to talk to. Um, the types of people the business would attract. And I just used all of my resources from being a nurse and I just put it into my own business. I said, if I'm putting in 14 hours a day for someone else, why not do it for myself?
That's outstanding. And I thank you so much for sharing because I'm hoping members of our audience can get some insight into the mindset that it takes because the work that you do is so fulfilling on one aspect, but you seem like such a motivated professional that you have more energy and more to give. So I have to ask you this question because the great thing about your mobile IV vitamin therapy is that you have on site interaction with the public in real time. So, do you feel a sense of service almost as if it's almost a part of the community service where you're out there meeting people? I'm sure they're asking you all types of advice about their health and how to not get sick outside of the vitamin therapy. So, how enriching for you is it to actually go out and meet people on a regular basis and be able to network and tell them about what you're doing so that if they have an event, they can reach out to you as well?
It's funny because as a nurse, when you're talking to people in the profession, it's not always a good thing. You're
Oh,
not
wow.
always giving them good news. So, being into this business, it's like all of my social interaction with the community is always a positive thing. And I love that. I love just socializing with people. I love teaching them about what vitamins do to their bodies. And people are very receptive to that. So,
Mhm.
I did a lot of teaching, in my career as a nurse. So I just basically did the same thing. I do it the same thing now. But it's on a different aspect. You know what I mean?
Right.
More on an aspect of how this can benefit you with your health. And by me, because it's so true and it's such a real thing, I'm passionate about it because it's like this really works. People look at me
Right.
like, okay. And I'm like, no, you just don't understand. You can
Right.
add years to your life. This is amazing.
All right.
So, knowing that and feeling that way, it's easy to go out in the public and to socialize with people and to talk about the business. So that's what I'm here for. right?
I can only assume that when you're out, especially at events, any other RN that even sees that you're there comes and introduces themselves to you and lets you know that there are nurses or anything like that. So when you are out and you meet other nurses, do they ask you about your business? Do they ask you where you find the time? Do they ask you for advice? And if so, do you mentor or give any advice when you have the opportunity to?
One thing about nurses is that we have a very close knit community. No matter if I've
Ah,
never met
okay.
you,
Right.
you tell me you're a nurse, it's like we have a sisterhood. You know what I
Right.
mean? So we become conversational, immediately. We create a very close bond. And to be honest, we all have something in common, and that's taking care of the public, and that's providing a service, and we're passionate about it. So naturally, when you meet, you already know that you guys are just automatically in love because you both have a lot in common. Nurses are always seeking entrepreneurship, and there's a lot of things out there for us to do, built on whatever your expertise or your strength is. So yeah, nurses will come to me and say, hey, well, I'm not comfortable with sticking people, but I like to do this. And I'm like, well, let's look at avenues. What about,
Mm.
owning a home health agency? Yeah, kind of helping them to find out what their strength may be. And I don't have a problem with that. I think that that's probably one of the most amazing things about what I do, because I meet not only people in the community, but other professionals. And I'm able to, say, hey, lean on me, call me. We got to help each other out. I can't serve the community by myself. Right.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I'm always willing to do, that extra education. Just call me, text me, DM me. It doesn't matter. I'll find time. You find
Speaking
time for the things you want to do.
Absolutely. Speaking of education, I urge everyone to check you out on Instagram and follow you on social media at VitaFuse Houston on Instagram. So, could you speak to the type of content, the type of education that you do in your social media space, and some of the motivation behind it, and what type of information you feel like is important for the public to know on a regular basis?
Yes, I try to target certain times of the year, and I try to, push for
Mm.
whatever is going on. Like right now, it's hot. I want to definitely push the importance of hydration and the things that can happen behind being dehydrated, such as strokes and heart attacks. So I will be posting that on my not only my website, but also on my Instagram, to just kind of give people a little education on that. And, just whatever else. I also get ideas from my patients. A lot of times my
Mm.
clients will say, hey, I have sickle cell and I've been getting the B12 shot. Okay, you know what? I'm going to put up more posts about sickle cell anemia. I just kind of go with the flow. Whatever drives my energy that day, I do it. So, yeah, that's where we're going to go with that for the summer. So, it's going to be a lot of education on strokes, heart attacks, and hydration.
You just mentioned that you work with those that suffer from sickle cell anemia, and that's something that there's members of our family who survive, are sickle cell survivors, and they have to deal with hydration issues and B12 shots and all the things you speak about. We talked about how VitaFuse services events when you could be at large sporting events, outdoor activities. But for those like someone who suffers from having sickle cell, do you have services where you provide mobile IV vitamin therapy at their residences? How would one go about setting that up with you? Is that something that they can set up on a regular, reoccurring basis? Just give me the audience some background as far as how those in that situation could take advantage of your company and take advantage of your services as well.
Okay, I do have customers, clients that come to me very often.
Mm.
They suffer from anemia, sickle cell anemia, or just overall just fatigue. So I have them, sometimes I'll go every 2 weeks. I am
Mm.
able to do that. I will put you on a schedule. You can pay per, visit, or you can pay in advance, and I'll make sure that I'm there. You won't have to worry about calling me. If you want me to keep you scheduled consistently, I will do that. So yeah, I mean, as a healthcare leader, that's what I want to do. I want to take that stress away from them.
I just totally am taken aback about the things that you do for those that suffer with sickle cell anemia, because, like I mentioned, it's really a really important topic in our family. Members of our family have sickle cell anemia, and I really have always felt like it's very under publicized. And for, I don't know, especially in our community, I don't think it's spotlighted enough. So, have you had an opportunity to work with any organizations for those that suffer from sickle cell, do you feel as if your company and what you do has had opportunity to reach out to as many of those type of patients as you can? Because that's something that I would really like to assist you in, because I can only imagine for those that suffer with anemia, having someone like you that'll be able to come to their home, their residence on a regular basis, because it can be cumbersome having to schedule those hospital visits and set those last minute appointments. So is that just something that they've expressed to you that they're very appreciative of, to have you as a service provider?
Yes, when we think about it, most people that have anemia or that are dehydrated, like we discussed, they're tired. People don't want to leave their home. They're so exhausted. So that's why I wanted to come to you. Let me come to you. That way, people don't have to leave the comfort of their home either, or their office.
Right.
And I think a lot of times right now, it's so hard for people to do that. So if that's one less thing that we can provide, I want to be able to provide that service to make people's life a lot easier. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yes, and I have no problem with that. I think it's an honor that people contact me and want to use my services and let me come into their home, because that's a risk a lot of times with, you know, getting services in your home. Got to watch out who's there. So I want
Right.
people to feel safe that, I will be there, and, that their health care and that their care is in good hands with me. So, yeah.
The thing that's truly inspiring about interviewing someone like yourself is that, on one hand, I want to ask you so much about your nursing career, and is that something that you've always wanted to do since you were a little girl? But then we also have everything that you're doing from an entrepreneurial space that I'm sure is inspiring so many business leaders like yourself. So I'll just try to encapsulate both by asking you this question. When you think about your upbringing as a young lady, were there
Mhm.
members of your family that were entrepreneurs or business owners? And if so, who could you credit as serving as like a motivator or inspiration for you as a young lady?
It's funny. A lot of people do. They do have like that aunt, that uncle, or whoever it is, that motivates them. That was a business owner. Myself, I was raised in a single parent home, so I didn't have that opportunity. So that's
Ah,
what drove me even more. You know what I mean? I wanted
right.
to be that first one that my little cousins and my nieces and nephews can look up to and say, Cousin Marie started a business. She did it. I can do it too. So I want to be that person. I didn't have that person. I had my mother. She worked 2, 3 jobs, did what she had to do. To me, that was serious. That was some work. That was some work. So I admired her for that. So she was my inspiration for wanting to work hard to get what I wanted to get in
You
life. Yeah.
know, I want to make sure everyone that hears this interview, has an opportunity to interact with you after this interview, knows beyond a shadow of a doubt how to reach out, how to schedule services, how to be a part of what you guys have going on at VitaFuse Houston. So please just share contact information, websites, so that everyone in the audience can reach out to you and work with you when that need presents itself.
So do not be afraid to text me. If you have questions, I do free
Mhm.
consultations over the phone. You can literally text me 713-328-9803. There, my website, it has different information about what the vitamins can do for you. www.vitafusehouston.com, and also on Instagram at VitaFuse Houston. So through all those three different methods, I am available. So yes, reach out, reach out. All you have to do is call me and we can set it up for same day services or for next day services. That's how quick we work.
Oh, thank you so much. And like I said before, what you do is something that I'm really passionate about, making sure that everyone who has ever been in the need of emergency hydration, um, has has anemia, knows that you're there to help them not only in an emergency but on a regular basis as well. So I want to thank you so much. If you ever would like to come back in and sit in with us, you have an open seat with me. Oh, and I want to make sure I ask you this question as well, Ms. Williams.
Yes.
For those members of our audience that
Mhm.
would love to meet, greet, and interact with you on a personal basis, are there any events, are there any philanthropic efforts in which you're spearheading or heading up that we could get involved, come out and get involved with you in person?
Yes, and I actually am good at getting good at posting it on my Instagram.
Yes, ma'am.
So I do get involved in my community, you guys. I don't just sell, vitamin treatments. I get
Right.
involved. I get out there. I will be at TSU this Saturday at the African American
Yes.
Male Wellness Walk. I have
Yeah.
a vendor table there. I'll be educating the community about IV vitamin treatment, your options for your pocket, number one. And any questions you have about what it can do for you, if you have blood pressure, what vitamins are good for you, I will be there. So that will be at TSU this Saturday from 7 a.m. to 12. So come out, you guys. We're promoting Black men's health.
Follow Miss Williams on Instagram. She's going to post and keep us up to date. Thank you so much, Marie, man. I
Thank you.
appreciate your time. Anytime you would like to sit in on the show, please let Larry or myself know, because you have a seat with us anytime. I want to thank you so much, and I'm so appreciative for you, Queen. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you too.
Absolutely. We'll talk soon.
All right. That's a free treatment for you now.
Thank you so much, because I'm going to definitely need one this summer.
I got you. No worries.
Appreciate it. Oh my goodness gracious, that was a great show. I want to thank Miss Marie Williams of VitaFuse for being our guest this week. Reach out to her on Instagram at VitaFuse Houston. Check her out this weekend at Texas Southern University. Follow her on Instagram, get all that information. If you'd like to meet, greet, and interact with Ms. Marie Williams, the owner of VitaFuse, you have that opportunity this Saturday at Texas Southern University. Big huge shout out to everybody over on the team at Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm. Big huge shout out to everybody working with us at the Prime Real Estate Network. Big huge shout out to our sponsors, everyone that's involved, those that support us on Patreon. If you haven't been to the Prime Real Estate Network Patreon page, please feel free and support us there. You get a lot of members only content and exclusives. So I'd like to thank you on behalf of myself, Rick Davis, and the Texas Real Estate King, Mr. Larry W. Brooks. Until next week at this time, everyone out there in the audience, please be safe and be blessed.